Other interesting business news, I review the best-selling EVs of 2024, with some growing more and more. Spoiler alert, Hyundai is continuing to grow. Not financial advice, but geez Louise, not only is their stock exploding past couple of years, but they're one of the fastest growing EV manufacturers that 18 people know about. Okay, maybe 19. I did have a friend who leased the Hyundai Iconic 5 XY Banana Falcon, whatever they call the latest iteration of the vehicle. It's not a very unique, cool name, but they are growing in popularity, and the battery capabilities from a manufacturing perspective, they are one of the largest. Now, this comes just thanks to Motor1.com. They say, quote, the 10 best-selling EVs in 2024, Tesla tops the chart, but Hyundai and Ford weren't far behind. And you can see the Ford Mustang E-Mach, the bastardization. Can't believe they used that name in vain. The Mustang, obviously, is the iconic American sports car that was so profitable and such a great business idea. It netted Ford $1 billion in profits in the 60s, which is like, what, with inflation, $100 billion now? I'm like partially exaggerating, but yeah, it's an iconic American sports car, one of the few last V8s with a stick shift you can get in the world, which gives it a special place in my heart, even if I can't afford or have the capabilities of having one yet. But yeah, the Mustang E-Mach actually outsold the real Mustang in 2024, which is quite disappointing. I would also point to the economy being pretty bad when people can't afford fun toys like the real Mustang, but I partially digress. Now, this comes to us thanks to Anthony, who's a writer over there, specifically Anthony Allans. And here, I'll leave I don't know if it's punishment or pleasure for people to see the Cybertruck on the screen. I know that's a debate in and of itself, but I'll leave that on the screen while I read. He says, quote, electric vehicles aren't nearly as popular as they once were. As more automakers roll back their overly ambitious EV plans, the market for battery-powered cars has slowed dramatically. Compared to 2023, last year was significantly slowed down year for EV sales as a whole, but there were a number of brands and vehicles that found success. It should be noted that some brands on the list don't release annual sales figures. Tesla and Rivian numbers, for example, are estimates provided by Cox Automotive, which does the legwork of tracking EV sales throughout the year. That being said, Tesla still topped the charts, according to Cox, with the Model Y and Model 3 coming in at 1 and 2 US last year. Of course, behind you have companies like Ford, Hyundai, and Honda. Now, number 10, which somehow they're still in business, you got Rivian, estimated at 26,934 units. Now, they say that Rivian as a company is already 15 years old, which, geez Louise, time flies. But the automaker's R1S SUV went on sale in 2022. Despite being a newer brand, Rivian's electric SUV took the 10th spot of the year, just under 27,000 estimated to have been sold last year. Rivian has made numerous improvements in the R1S and R1T for 2025, behind the familiar-looking body, but with better motors, upgraded batteries, and enhanced software. They also have the Cadillac Lyriq, which, the only Cadillac I would ever get is a Cadillac CT4V Blackwing with a stick shift, or the CT5V Blackwing with a stick shift, obviously. Also think that's the only good things Cadillac makes these days, but I partially digress. Now, they estimate that Cadillac sold 28,402 units. They say that the Cadillac Lyriq is the brand's first electric vehicle. It's selling quite well compared to the other luxury competitors. It's available in rear or all-wheel drive configurations, making either 340 or 500 horsepower while offering up 314 miles of range on a single charge. It starts in the low $60,000 before incentives, which, yeah, we'll see. Trump's already starting to put the brakes on some of those incentives, pun moderately intended. Back in the day, you get basically $7,500 tax break from the U.S. government if you bought an EV. We'll see how much sales are affected without that. I suspect a lot. Now, they say it'll be interesting to see if it can hold spot in 2025 as an increasing number of worthy alternatives, which, nothing says luxury like a product that'll depreciate quickly. Well, wait a minute, that's a Mercedes. I'm only partially kidding, or am I? Now, also coming in at number 8 is the Chevy Equinox, which, geez, oh, good God, who designed that? Again, I'll give Chevy credit. Their GM is making, give Mary Barr credit. She's pumped up the stock better in the past year than she has in the past 10 years combined. The bar was also that low from her previous performance, but they're starting to pump out these EVs on a bigger scale than I thought possible in terms of their adaptation rate and their ability to pivot. Now, how reliable these things are, well, we'll see about that. And how long, what's the longevity of this? We'll see. But again, GM is starting to sell EVs on a larger scale. They even overtook Ford, I believe, in Q4 2024 for a number of units sold total. Now, this is specifically the Chevy Equinox EV at 28,874 units. Now, they say that, quote, the Chevrolet Equinox EV is an important model for the brand's electrification efforts. It's affordable at just $34,955 to start, and deliveries up to 319 miles of range, on a single charge. It's the Chevy or EV Chevy and other automakers have been promising consumers. Even a cheaper LT base trim arrives in 2025, which should only help the EV sales this year. Which, yeah, if you don't want to own a car for more than 36 months or maybe 48 months, or you're leasing it, yeah, but long-term ownership with that, again, the taking time pop with these things are always the Achilles heel. It's the battery in terms of the cost is more than the car itself. It's an abomination, 10, 20, 30 grand. But again, in our lifetime, they may very well figure that out. Time shall always tell. You also have the Honda Prologue, which, God, that's ugly as hell, and an abomination to the Honda brand. Honda perfected the inline 4-cylinder engine and some of their V6s, but yeah, to me, every Honda should have a stick shift and a turbocharged, inline 4, but that's just me. I'm a little biased. I love my 2018 Honda Civic Si. I know it's not for everyone, but I partially digress. They have this electric SUV that some people are apparently liking and appreciating. It kind of looks a little bit familiar. It's a, spoiler alert, a badging project with General Motors. Now, they apparently sold 33,017 of these units. I don't know who the hell is buying these Hondas, which, again, you're buying a Honda for reliability. Like, I chose my Civic Si not just because it's fun, but it's more reliable than a Ford Focus ST, which I was looking at, which, yeah, it's a low bar. It's a Ford. It's always going to be, reliability is kind of like oil and water. You could try really hard, and someday it might mix, but with the current technology, it's just not happening. But, yeah, since it's where I chose Honda because it's more reliable. This, you're choosing a Honda EV, which inherently means, like a good Honda, they'll last 200, 300, 400,000 miles, and, a couple of decades. This won't last, well, maybe a couple fiscal quarters. I'm only partially exaggerating. Now they say, quote, despite being Honda's most expensive vehicle, nearly $50,000, who's buying this crap? $50,000 to start. The Prologue sold well into the first year. The automaker jointly developed the electric crossover with General Motors, utilizing the American automaker's Ultium platform that underpins the Cadillac Lyriq, Chevrolet Blazer EV, and the Acura ZX. The Honda is priced cheaper than the Chevy counterpart, but also has less range, but that's not turning away consumers. $50,000 for a Honda EV? That, again, Honda, unlike a good old bulletproof Honda that will, again, last decades. Like, my family still has a 2001 Honda Accord they bought new. And it still runs like a champ with 4 cylinders of glory. Kind of heartbreaking as automatic transmission, as definitely first world problems complaining as a child. Why is it only 2 pedals? Why, Papa? Why? And yeah, I still wonder, how could they do that? How could they make the family car an automatic? It's so sad. Tough times. I'm obviously exaggerating, but yeah, if I had 50 grand to buy a vehicle, there's 0% chance I'd buy that. I'm actually impressed. Honda sold 33,017 of these abomination of SUVs for $50,000 plus. I mean, to me, that's just unfathomable. Let me know, especially in the comments. Would you buy that? I mean, it looks hideous, and it's also a joint venture with General Motors, and it's an EV. You're not getting that Honda reliability. That, to me, it just throws the value prop all out the window. I mean, Soichiro Honda, he would be very disappointed, I think. Now, going back to more EVs, you got the Ford F-150 Lightning, which I'm still astonished people are buying because you can't tow anything. Granted, I know a lot of trucks are pavement queens. Now, apparently, Ford sold 33,510 units. The Ford F-150 Lightning, which, I don't know, every time you see Ford, I always hear that pronunciation. The Ford F-250. Maybe it's just me. Does that sound familiar to anyone? I can't believe they sold this many. Now, they say that, quote, sales numbers for Ford's electric pickup trail those of the combustion power stablemate. Well, obviously, the Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in the world, partially because they have all the different trim levels and, brand awareness and market saturation. But, yeah, the Ford F-150 saw its numbers increase, 38.7% in 2024. A price cut early in the year likely helped the EV surpass 2023 figures. But despite the jump, Ford has to idle Lightning production at the end of the last year due to a weakening demand. It's unclear if Ford plans to make any changes or updates to the pickup in the coming months, which, oh yeah, they basically had to take 2 months off because they weren't moving units quickly enough at the end of Q4, which is a pretty rare thing. And even more hilarious, the Cybertruck beat them in sales. So the Cybertruck beat the Ford when it comes to brand recognition. I don't think any company is more synonymous with trucks than the Ford F-150 platform. Now, the Cybertruck, yeah, I would say is infinitely more interesting from an aesthetic or a unique look. People seem to love or hate it. Granted, if I won the lottery, Yeah, I'd definitely buy a Tesla Cybertruck and do a drivetrain swap to a Toyota Tacoma so you can get a good old manual transmission and then you get the cool body and the bullet resistanceness of the Cybertruck. I think that'd be the best of both worlds. Definitely be a money pit to actually do that because only 5 people would want that, and I'd be one of the 5. But yeah, I'd definitely do something like that. But nevertheless, for everyone in the rational world who isn't thinking about winning the lottery, they apparently sold 38,965 Cybertrucks. They say, quote, the long-awaited Cybertruck finally went on sale late 2023. The truck racked up a respectable number of sales in the first year, but those numbers began to slow towards the end of 2024 as interest in the funky-looking pickup faded. However, it outsold the F-150 Lightning, the closest competitor. Now, you also have the Hyundai coming up and surprising everyone because, again, when I was a kid, Hyundai was a joke. I mean, I think Jay Leno famously compared Hyundai Kia, which, again, same company, to being as reliable as a bobsled and just pushing it down the hill, or even less reliable than that. And they've come back in spades. Now, they say the Hyundai Iconic 5 sold 44,400 units, which is a lot more than I would have thought. Now, let's say the Hyundai Iconic 5 saw its sales jump 31% from 2023 to 2024, up from 33,918 models last year. It first went on sale in 2022 model year, quickly becoming a popular EV among consumers. Hyundai offers the Iconic 5 with standard and extended battery ranges in the rear and all-wheel drive configurations. The lineup includes the 641 horsepower Iconic 5 and Hyundai recently revealed a Drift King edition crossover as well. Now you have the saddest, or I think the saddest, the bastardized Mustang that beat the real Mustang in number of units sold. That's how bad the economy is, folks. People are they're not buying fun toys, they're buying these crossovers, which, again, I would argue a real Mustang is infinitely more reliable than this. These things are famous for going on social media, becoming dead bricked, or kind of like how your Windows computer will get the blue screen of death. That's happening with the Mustang E-Mach left and right, apparently, with software updates literally making it so you can't drive the damn thing. Though, this is probably safer because I would suspect these don't hit people when they leave a car show, which is not mandatory to do as a Mustang owner, but is part of the culture, it seems, because of the high frequency in which it happens. I can only assume it is part of the kind of the whole shtick. Now, they note that they sold 51,745 Mustang E-Machs in 2024, which, jeez. Now, they say Ford made the Mustang E-Mach more appealing last year, giving the GT trim 100 more foot-pound of torque, dripping the crossover's 0-60 time to 3.3 seconds. The automaker also improved the range figures across every trim with the electric crossover capable of traveling 320 miles on a single charge with the extended range battery. Mustang E sales last year increased 26.9% compared to 2023, and price drop in 2025 should keep units moving off dealer lots, which, again, they're getting the economies of scale. They may very well make a profit before we die on EVs. Again, right now, the only reason Ford is a business is because of Ford Blue, which you could also call the good Ford, the gas-powered real Mustang, as well as the F-150, 250, 350, 450 Banana Falcon trucks that they make and crossovers. Like most companies, they're losing money left and right on EVs. I think they lost about $132,000 per EV sold Q4, I believe, which, again, you set up a lot of different manufacturing, you have to have research, development, and different investments. It's a huge upfront investment. Let me know if you think do you think they'll skirt a profit on EVs in 2025 this year at the Ford company? You also have the Tesla Model 3 coming in at number 2 at 189,903 units, which I think they did give it a facelift. It looks slightly more angular. Maybe. Ever so much. Now, they note that, quote, the Tesla Model 3 didn't outsell the Model Y, but it blew past the Mustang Mach-E with an estimated 189,903 units sold last year. The Model 3 underwent a refresh in 2023, receiving several updates that included an updated exterior design, longer ranges, and other technical improvements. However, the sales of electric sedan did fall by 17.4% last year, likely due to new competitors, as, legacy automotive companies are finally starting to get their act together in terms of going to the EVs, and they are starting to catch up in terms of volume, as we're seeing with Ford, though, again, not many companies are making a profit on EVs yet. Tesla is very unique in that regard. And coming up, number 1, you have the Tesla Model Y at 372,313 units estimated sold, which, man, people love that funky little crossover thingamajig. Now, they say the Tesla Model Y is again America's best-selling EV by a wide margin, even though sales fell 6.6% in 2024. Production began 5 years ago, and the EV landscape has changed quite a bit since then. with many new competitors entering the market. However, none have truly challenged Model Y's dominance, and the Juniper rep map bringing up Model 3's improvements to the Y will likely help the electric crossover in the top spot for another year. Which, again, I'm not too surprised Tesla's on top in terms of, yeah, they have the most successful infrastructure. I mean, not just for charging. They opened that up to everyone. But in terms of the gigapresses and the giant factories and the research, development, and engineering resources, they've had that lead for so long. I suspect they'll still have it for a little while longer. Now, the big variable that's not in here is BYD, which is exploding in every other country. But I suspect Trump will protect U.S. manufacturing with tariffs, and I suspect other countries will. I think other countries will follow as well, because you can't beat China, or let's be honest, you can't beat China when it comes to mass manufacturing and ripping off technologies, which are especially easy to do with EVs, because again, it's basically a smartphone on wheels. But I suspect without massive tariffs, they're going to enter the U.S. in a big way and be number one pretty darn quick. But I think really, to me, the only really surprise is that I can't believe Honda's doing that to the brand. Who knows? Maybe everyone loves it. It'll be magically reliable. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how to make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.